Have you ever felt like everything in your life is falling apart? Like no matter how hard you try, failure keeps knocking you down? What if I told you that your biggest success is hiding right behind your worst failure? That moment you want to quit, when it feels like the world is against you, is actually the exact moment that will define your future. Every rejection, every setback, every mistake is not the end, it's a signal. A signal to rise stronger, to push harder, and to discover a power you didn't know you had. The people who achieve greatness are not those who never failed. They are the ones who refuse to give up when everything seemed lost. Your breakthrough is waiting, just beyond the pain. And the only way to reach it is to keep moving forward. So stay with me, because today, we're going to uncover why your worst failure can become your greatest triumph. Most people believe breakthroughs arrive gently, like a reward handed over when everything finally goes right. But real life doesn't work that way. In reality, the biggest breakthroughs almost always come after moments that feel unbearable, humiliating, and final. They come after failures so painful that you question your ability, your choices, and even your worth. That is not a coincidence. It is a pattern. When you look closely at the lives of people who achieved something meaningful, you find a common truth hiding behind their success. The moment they almost gave up was often the moment just before everything changed. Think about what a worst failure really does to you. It strips away illusions. When something collapses completely, you can no longer lie to yourself. Excuses stop working. Comfort disappears. You are forced to face reality as it is, not as you hoped it would be. This is painful, but it is also powerful. Failure breaks the version of you that was surviving on half effort, borrowed confidence, or shallow motivation. What remains is either surrender or transformation. And this is where breakthroughs are born. Consider Thomas Edison. Before he successfully invented the practical electric light bulb, he failed thousands of times. Each failed experiment was not just a technical problem, it was public embarrassment. Investors doubted him. Critics mocked him. People questioned his intelligence. Imagine the emotional weight of being told again and again that what you're doing is impossible. Edison could have stopped and protected his ego, but instead he reframed failure. He famously said he didn't fail thousands of times. He found thousands of ways that didn't work. That mindset was not optimism for the sake of sounding positive. It was survival. His worst failures forced him to understand the problem at a depth that success never could. The breakthrough didn't happen despite the failures. It happened because of them. Failure also humbles you, and humility is essential for growth. When things are going well, you rarely examine yourself deeply. You repeat what already works. But when everything falls apart, you become a student again. You listen more. You observe more. You question your assumptions. This openness creates space for new ideas, new strategies, and new versions of yourself to emerge. Many people miss their breakthrough not because they fail, but because they refuse to learn from the failure. Take the story of J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, she was living as a single mother, unemployed, struggling with depression, and rejected by multiple publishers. Those rejection letters were not mild disappointments. They reinforced her deepest fears that she wasn't good enough. By her own admission, she had hit rock bottom. But that rock bottom did something important. It removed the fear of losing what she didn't have. With nothing left to protect, she focused entirely on telling the story she believed in. Her worst failure freed her creatively. The breakthrough came after the pain had already done its work. There is a reason breakthroughs often come after the worst moments. Pain creates urgency. When you are comfortable, you delay. You tell yourself you'll try harder tomorrow. You settle for good enough. Failure removes that option. It creates a psychological pressure that forces action. You either change or stay broken. That urgency sharpens focus in a way comfort never can. Look at athletes who reach the top of their sport. Many of them describe a defining loss that changed everything. Michael Jordan was famously cut from his high school basketball team. That moment crushed him. He went home and cried. But instead of quitting, he trained obsessively. That failure exposed his weaknesses and fueled a level of discipline that separated him from others. His breakthrough into greatness didn't come from natural talent alone. It came from responding to rejection with relentless work. On a more relatable level, think about someone who loses a job they thought was secure. At first, it feels like betrayal and shame. The routine is gone. The identity tied to that job collapses. But after the shock fades, many people discover something unexpected. They reflect on what they truly want. They upgrade their skills. They explore paths they were too afraid to consider before. For some, that job loss becomes the turning point that leads to a more fulfilling career or even entrepreneurship. The failure forced a reevaluation that comfort never would have triggered. What makes failure so powerful is that it confronts you with truth. It shows you where you were weak, unprepared, or avoiding growth. This truth hurts, but it is precise. And precise pain is useful pain. It points directly to what must change. Breakthroughs happen when you take that information and act on it, instead of numbing yourself or blaming others. Emotionally, the worst failures feel personal. Even when circumstances play a role, your mind interprets failure as a reflection of who you are. This is dangerous if you let it define you, but transformative if you let it refine you. The question is not, why did this happen to me? But, what is this trying to teach me? That shift in perspective is small, but it changes everything. Failure also builds resilience, which is often the invisible foundation of success. When you survive something you thought you couldn't, your self-image changes. You may feel broken in the moment, but later you realize you're stronger than you believed. This strength doesn't show up as confidence right away. It shows up as endurance. You stop panicking at setbacks. You stop quitting at the first sign of resistance. That resilience quietly prepares you for opportunities you're not ready for yet. Many people romanticize success but underestimate the inner work required to handle it. Sudden success without failure can destroy people because they lack emotional stability and discipline. Failure, on the other hand, trains you. It teaches patience, humility, and perseverance. By the time the breakthrough arrives, you're no longer the same person who failed. You're capable of sustaining what you achieve. Think about a student who fails an important exam. In the moment, it feels like a verdict on their intelligence and future. But for some, that failure becomes a wake-up call. They change how they study. They seek help. They build better habits. When they succeed later, that success is deeper and more meaningful because it was earned through struggle. The failure reshaped their approach, not just their result. One of the biggest reasons people don't reach their breakthrough is that they quit during the emotional aftermath of failure. The pain convinces them that continuing is pointless. But pain is not a signal to stop. It's a signal that something important is happening. The worst failures feel final, but they are often transitional. They mark the end of an old way of being and the beginning of a new one. Action is what turns failure into a breakthrough. Reflection alone is not enough. You must ask hard questions and then change behavior. If your project failed, what skills were missing? If your relationship ended, what patterns did you ignore? If your business collapsed, where were you unrealistic? This is uncomfortable work, but it's the work that creates momentum. Another important truth is that breakthroughs rarely look dramatic when they first appear. They often start as small shifts in mindset, habits, or direction. After a major failure, you might not suddenly succeed. You might simply make a better decision than you would have before. Over time, these better decisions compound. Months or years later, you look back and realize the breakthrough began the day everything fell apart. Emotionally impactful moments change how deeply you care. Failure makes goals personal. It connects ambition to identity. When you've suffered for something, you protect it. You work harder. You stay longer. That emotional investment increases the likelihood of success, not because of luck, but because of persistence. Your worst failure also reveals who you really are. When external validation disappears, you see what remains. Do you still want this goal when no one is watching, applauding, or believing in you? If the answer is yes, that clarity becomes fuel. If the answer is no, that is also a breakthrough, because it frees you from chasing something that was never aligned with you. The key is to stay engaged with life after failure. Isolation, bitterness, and self-pity freeze growth. Movement, learning, and humility restart it. You don't need to feel confident to move forward. You just need to keep moving. Confidence often comes later, as a result of action, not before it. When you look back at your life years from now, the moments that changed you most likely won't be your easy wins. They will be the nights you felt lost, the times you were rejected, the days you doubted yourself but kept going anyway. Those moments carved depth into your character. They prepared you for things you didn't yet understand. So, if you're standing in the middle of what feels like your worst failure, don't rush to label it as the end. Treat it as a message. Something in you is being challenged to grow. Something old is breaking so something stronger can form. You don't need to have everything figured out right now. You just need to decide not to quit on yourself. Your biggest breakthrough is rarely on the path of comfort. It's usually hiding just beyond the moment you feel most defeated. Stay present. Stay honest. Take the next small action, then the next. One day, you'll realize that what once felt like the end was actually the beginning of everything you were meant to become. Remember this: the moment you feel broken, rejected, or at your lowest is not the end of your story, it is the turning point. Your worst failure is not a signal to quit. It is the universe forcing you to grow, to rise stronger, and to discover a version of yourself you never knew existed. Every setback, every rejection, every painful loss is preparing you for a breakthrough far greater than you can imagine. Take action today. Use the lessons hidden in your struggles. Learn from what went wrong. Adjust, push forward, and refuse to let fear or doubt control your future. The path to your biggest success is built on the foundation of your failures. So stand tall, embrace the discomfort, and keep moving. Because on the other side of this struggle, greatness is waiting. Your breakthrough is coming, and it will be extraordinary.